When I started firing YouTube content out 2 years ago, one of the things that took me the most time to do was script writing. Putting in loads of different techniques, loads of mini stories, and loads of ways to hook in the viewer and keep them watching for longer. But I realised when I switched to completely ditching the script that there seemed to be a different spark about how I presented, and one of the next videos that took me 0 time to script started to do really well. So here's the question: should you script every single one of your videos and write every word and make sure it's perfect, or should you throw it in the bin and just go straight a cappella? So let me give you the pros and cons of both, and maybe even a hybrid version that gets the best of both worlds. And should you use AI? One of the biggest positives I found from not scripting videos was just feeling more authentic and connected on camera. It's very hard when you've got nothing to read off to not be yourself. Therefore, you start to learn the more you do this to sound like you and like you're talking to a friend than just a newsreader. And at first, it might just be subtle differences you see when you're editing your videos, but for the audience, it feels completely different, especially as you develop your skills doing it straight from the heart. People feel like you're actually talking to them and not through them. I also found that not scripting was a perfect way to level up my camera confidence, because instead of practicing to perform lines, you're practicing to be yourself. And it also allows you to add in extra information that you wouldn't have mentioned otherwise, because it just pops to your head in the meantime. Like that line was literally just one. So if you watch some of your last few videos back, or even your older ones, and you're kind of nervous, awkward, or you even can just tell that you look like a robot when you're talking, a bit like my old videos were if you have a look here, try this technique out for your next few videos, or even just your next 5 to 10, and you'll really see a difference, and your audience definitely will too. Another massive benefit to this, as I mentioned a little bit in the intro, is that the prep time is so much less. You come up with your video idea, your thumbnail, orchestrate the packaging, and then you can just go with your thoughts and your feelings with what someone would want from that packaging. All you have to do is jot a few points instead of writing 2,000 or 3,000 words. But what's the negatives from just talking to camera straight away? Especially when you start doing this, your videos will lose a little bit of cohesion. As humans, we get ideas come up in our heads all the time. You may start to slightly drift off on tangents and start talking about things that aren't what your viewer wants and aren't the packaging focus. This might also make it harder to edit, because you almost need to realign the video with the packaging and cut out 5-minute monologues. There might also be times when you pause and then start up the sentence again, but in a way that doesn't fit with the original point. Also, along with that, your retention techniques might falter a bit. You can forget to hint to other points in the video to keep the viewer engaged, and it can often lead to you rambling too much. Whereas if you scripted it, you'd know exactly where you were going, and you'd have thought over these techniques again and again until they were perfect. So the positives of scripting is you can make the video more strategic. You can make sure it hits all the great points. You can make sure it uses retention techniques. You can make sure it follows a strategic storyline. You can also probably align it better with your packaging to make sure you manage the viewer's expectations perfectly. And then the negatives of scripting, obviously, are that it takes a while, it can come across quite robotic, and there's less personality and creativity in your presenting. Now on to the AI question. Should you use ChatGPT or Gemini to write your scripts for you? You might think a perfect script in 10 seconds, I can tell it to put in all these retention techniques. Surely this is the cheat code. And yes, you'd be right in all of those things. But in my opinion, you should steer away from making complete AI scripts. Thousands and thousands and thousands of creators are doing this. And as we know with these language models, is they use people's inputs and internet's data to train itself. So what I've found is it largely makes your script a bit wishy-washy and a bit generic and too replicable. And the more and more that time goes on, the more YouTube channels that are going to be plastered with this AI content. So if you want to blend into the background, it's probably a good idea. So I personally wouldn't ever use it to fully write my script and just speak it all out. I have done in previous videos, and I don't think they've ever really performed well. Although it is a good starting point. One thing I found it effective for is just writing the generic first structure of a script, and then going through and editing it to make it my script and not just AI's script. Add your own stories in, your own experiences, change out words you wouldn't normally use, and just use it as a foundation to build off of. That's if you are leaning into the complete scripting. But the hybrid way that I mentioned earlier on in the video is what I use. As I'm talking to you now, I don't have a word for word script in front of me. I just have bullet points. And how do I get these bullet points? AI. I write all of my points out in a list and put that in ChatGPT with my title to create a structure that is perfect for a video. Then I put that in a Word document and put it on my monitor as I'm recording this video. And then I just look when I need to make a point and then just make my own answer for it and my own way of saying things. This way you get the personal connection and the creativity of talking without a script, but you also make sure that you get in the right structure and that you mention the right points. It literally takes like 5 to 10 seconds to make too, and whilst it might not be ultra optimized for ultimate retention, it's perfect for me because I'm not focusing on that right now, because I think YouTube is heading away from that a bit, as the platform is going to be cluttered with thousands of those versions as AI gets better too. It might feel like you're jumping into the deep end when you first record a video without a word for word script, but you get used to it so quick and you get better at talking off the cuff. You train yourself to improvise, making sure that the actual you comes across. Now, one problem I've gone through in my early YouTube journey that I know loads of you will be going through too is YouTube monetization. It feels almost impossible and it feels like it's the only way we could earn money from this. That's not the case. Watch this video right here to see how you can earn money without even having that monetization tick.